No? You alright? Yep.
Hey, remember how last October I concussed myself? Yeah, well, turns out that 6 months later I still get a little bit iffy if you bump me on the head.
Seriously, girl? I haven't hit my head. Sit down.
But more on that later. Well, it is Monday morning and quite an early hour, and I'm about to pack the car and head off to the Astor Community Theatre in Deal for the first day of my stage combat course, and you are coming with me. This is the Sword and Scoundrel Easter course. Welcome. I do also need to do something with my hair before I go, so I should get on that. In case you don't know, I'm Jill Bearup, and I have a YouTube channel about fake fighting in movies, terrible armour designs, and sometimes murder dresses. And I got into all three of those niches via the hobby I picked up about 4 years ago now, stage combat, aka fake fighting people for theatrical purposes. If you're a patron or channel member, you should hop over there now because it's a longer video. I did not bother to curb my enthusiasm at all. You're either welcome or have been warned. I don't know if you've ever been on a stage combat course, but if you enjoy making new friends and pretending to beat them up, acting, or preferably both, then I highly recommend it. Come to Canterbury in August. We'll be there for 5 days. It's gonna be great. Anyway, this is Duncan Woodruff and this is Martin August, and together they make Sword and Scoundrel. I'll let you decide which is which. And they were to be our teachers for the next 3 days. Assisting on the course were Ed and Jack. You may recognise Jack. This is Lily Grace, who you will almost certainly have seen in a previous video or two, and she is my fight partner for the course. Pity her. And the weapons that Lily and I had were rapier and buckler. Don't at me, Hema people, I will explain in a minute. And as for the scene we chose, well, I will tell you later on, but you'll probably be able to guess beforehand.
Why do you need to know?
Now, the bucklers are, of course, the dinner plate-sized metal shields that we're both carrying, but the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that we are not in fact carrying rapiers at all. We are carrying épée blades attached to French grip foil handles. If you're talking about pokey one-handed swords on a stage, then that's often what you get, or at least you get an épée blade attached to some kind of handle, because they're cheap and safe, and also designed to be blunt. Safety first. This is a stage combat safe small sword. As you can see, it has an acorn hilt, but it has an épée blade stuck onto it, so you are not in fact going to stab anyone to death with it. Anyway, about 52 hours from now, every single person on this course will be performing a scene with a fight in it in front of an examiner and their teachers, and also everyone else on the course once you get above standard level. When you're a beginner, you only do the exam in front of your examiner and your teachers because honestly it's intimidating enough, but as you advance through the levels, they're like, well, you are actors and this is a performance, so you have to learn to do it in front of an audience. Every day starts with a warm-up, which may or may not be led by a Viking, and you may notice that we're all doing slightly different things, and that is because the purpose of a warm-up is to warm yourself up, not to try and keep up with your wildly enthusiastic Viking teacher, or be limited by your wildly enthusiastic Viking teacher if you are, in fact, just ludicrously flexible, like Birta over here. Day one began in earnest with a general overview of fencing-esque footwork, which was either an entirely new experience for the people coming in cold, or a refresher for those of us who have done it before. Fencers will notice that a stage fighting stance is broadly similar to a fencing stance, which is to say, it's like a fencing stance, but broader. I'm hilarious. You may also note when you see us practicing the choreography that advances and retreats and lunges on stage are often bigger than you might expect when you're fencing. And that's because the bigger the movement, the easier it is to convey to the person in the back row that you're really trying to kill this guy. After our refresher, we did in fact all remember where our feet were supposed to go, so yay for us. We split into groups based on our choice of weapon for the 3 days.
And it's fun watching this one because it's so different as well because everyone's doing something different now.
Yep.
The standards are doing the dagger. Yep. And then the other advanced are doing cloak, but we've ended up doing buckler, so like everyone's different.
And then we got cracking on the choreography. So we'd get taught a phrase and then be sent off to practice it while the teachers went to the next group and taught them how to do their phrase of choreography. And we rotated like this for basically the rest of the day. In between times I may also have had another go with the cloaks because cloaks are swishy and fun. Whee! Choreography is something I've gotten much better at picking up over the years because, well, it's something that you practice and get better at, and Lily has been doing stage combat for 5 years now, so she's pretty good at it too. Which meant that on the first day, while we still forgot what the next move was supposed to be on a semi-regular basis, we were confident that we were going to know it, just that we didn't have it right at this second. And that meant we could focus on other aspects of performance and technique, like maintaining eye contact all the time, which I definitely don't find difficult at all. Now the thing about these courses is that they're really fun, and also really tiring, but not necessarily amazingly fun to look at because there is just a lot of do 3 moves and then stop and then do them again, but better. Practice, forget what something is supposed to look like, go and confirm that, practice, break, repeat. So by 5 p.m. at the end of Monday, we were tired and hungry and ready for our respective beds. Hello, it's Tuesday and it's 6:10 in the morning. I am currently importing all the clips that I took yesterday from my camera to this computer, which is going to be helpful. I did not do that yesterday because yesterday I came home and did all of the things that I needed to do so that I would be as unsore as possible this morning. Today we're going to get our ending and then it's just practice and tweak and improve for the whole day, and then tomorrow we have the performance, which I'm thinking I might just pay the exam fee and do it as an exam as well, because I mean the examiner is going to be there anyway, and I've never done rapier and buckler before. Ooh, that is my porridge. See it a bit. Sun is shining, little birdies are going cheap. My muscles sort of ache, but not too badly. I mean, I can still walk and do stuff, so it's going to be fine. Let's do this thing. Let the viewer understand that you don't normally pick a fight partner before you go on a course. Normally you just pair up once you get there. But since Lily and I had done rapier and cloak together before in the summer, and we thought that rapier and cloak was what was going to be on offer, we decided that we would pair up and do a refresher course because it's fun. And also in my rapier and cloak exam, I got 80, which I didn't think I was going to beat that, honestly. But when we got there, Duncan said, actually, I've got a couple of bucklers if you want to do that. So we did. But since we had already chosen our scene, we stuck with that.
It does make me laugh that everyone else is doing serious business. So the standards are both doing Shakespeare plays, the same Shakespeare play, the same scene.
The same scene.
And then the advanced, one group is doing Shakespeare, the other group is doing Shakespeare does Star Wars, and then there's us.
And then there's us.
We're like old Bill.
Yep.
But nothing is more fun than a comedy fight.
When offered the Incredibles, you take the Incredibles.
Joys of stage combat.
Indeed. It is now our turn on the stage, so we're going to go fight there. Let's do it.
We are. And hopefully not die.
Yes. Practicing in the place that you're actually going to perform is quite important because blocking and spatial awareness will both rely on that, especially if you have to, say, start the fight on the ground and then fight to the steps and halfway up the steps and then go onto the stage and then jump off the stage and then fight with one of you on the stage and off the stage and then get back on the stage and then finish the fight. Just for example. Now, as I said, we'd already chosen our scene and it's such a meme now that we basically knew all the lines before we started anyway, but everyone else had to pick their scene, and not just pick their scene, but figure out how they were going to put the scene into the fight choreography they had been given. Now, each pair gets their own individual ending, but the bulk of the choreography is set before you actually go to the course. So unless you're physically incapable of doing a move, in which case they'll change it up, you have to do a certain number of things because they're on the syllabus. So you pick your scene and then you have to figure out how to make it work. And figuring out where and how to insert lines into an existing fight is a really interesting process for 2 reasons. First, because from a theatrical or just storytelling standpoint, it's completely backwards. The fight should serve the scene, not the other way around. But second, because having to do this process repeatedly is basically the reason that this is now my full-time job. I'm not even kidding. And that digression ended up lasting for like 2 pages, and so I put it at the end of the Patreon and channel member video. You're welcome. The short version is that shoehorning scenes into a fight requires you to develop a sense of what each phrase of the fight is saying, and then you work in your lines around that. And that makes it easier to reverse engineer other people's choreography which was created specifically for that scene. Regardless, day 2 happened, and while we were absolutely exhausted and I was just completely unable to jump off the stage without sounding like an elephant, it was all going okay. So after 2 days basically of rehearsal, how are you feeling? Literally I'm feeling very, very sore. Fair?
And very tired. But a good tired. The kind of tired where you think, I'm tired because I've done a lot of good work. Not the tired that I'm scared.
Fair.
Of you with a weapon.
It's not wise to be scared of me with a weapon. I'm not that frightening. Usually. Yesterday was, for most people, I think, the dip day, where energy is low and everyone's tired and everyone hurts and it isn't quite coming together necessarily how you want it. But we crack on, so I went home, ate steak, foam rolled my entire body, and went to bed reasonably early, so that was good. I did not sleep amazingly, but here we are. We're ready for exam day, and I have decided that I am just going to do the exam because when it was rapier and cloak, we'd done it before, so there was no point in doing an exam. But since it's rapier and buckler, I figured might as well. Got my costume on. Sherlock is drinking my water from my mug. Thanks, Sherlock. Otherwise, ready to go. Let's do it. And as we rolled into Wednesday, all was going well, or at least well enough. What could possibly go wrong?
This one's hurt her head again. She wasn't really focusing much when we were fighting, which isn't like Jill. Jill is a very focused fighter.
No? You alright? Yep. Yeah? Yeah. Sure? Remember what happened last time?
And she was like spacing out a bit. So I did what I did in October.
Jill, come here. I'm not tracking fantastically.
And tested her eyes, which weren't dilating.
Seriously, girl? I haven't hit my hair. Sit down.
To be fair, I would like to point out that I have not hit my head again.
I disagree.
Okay. I have no recollection of hitting my head.
That makes it worse.
And no part of my head hurts. So, you know, like, that's my story and I am sticking to it.
So I think Jill might have hit her head and just can't remember, which makes it even worse. But
There
Jill
should be
is-
footage of it, though.
There should be. We'll find out.
So that's going to be interesting. I am tracking a little bit better now.
You are tracking better. You are. I think even if it is a concussion, it is the mildest concussion, and if you don't have any pain, it probably won't even last the day.
That is good to know. Ideally, it
Fingers
will not
crossed.
last until 2 o'clock when the
Fingers
performance-slash exam is.
But this is why you partner with a first aider, so that if you do hurt yourself, you can keep track of it.
Especially if you're me. I would point out that nobody else has hurt themselves like this. This might just be me.
Like this specifically.
This specifically. And I wore my nice dress and everything.
I know. It's fine.
It's fine. And so I sat down, and after about 15 minutes I was like, yeah, no, I feel like I can focus again, so that's good. Let's just do a bunch of things very slowly. With 2 hours before the exam, Lily checked my pupils again, and they were doing the things that pupils were supposed to do, so we were back on. I spent 2.5 days learning this choreography. I'm doing it. And then of course I had to spend some time learning the thing which I had not had the wherewithal to learn the day before, which was how to jump off the stage without sounding like an elephant. It's a very useful life skill, I'm sure. And then the examiner arrived and it was T-minus 15 minutes before everything kicked off, so yes. That was not nerve-wracking at all. How nervous you are before a fight performance exam depends on a bunch of factors like how you feel about your partner, and how you feel about the scene, and how you feel about the choreography. And also how you feel about whether or not you're going to be able to focus your eyes. But I could, so it was fine. I tend not to get particularly nervous before these exams anymore, mostly because I've done a lot of them at this point, and also because I'm usually so tired by that point that I can't really bring myself to work up more than a little bit of adrenaline. So after the entirety of Monday, the entirety of Tuesday, and all of Wednesday morning to rehearse, barring the section where I had to sit down because I was a bit concussed again. How did it go? Honey, I'm your wife.
I am the greatest good you're ever gonna get.
I definitely think it was the best exam I've ever done, which is probably why I got an 83, which is a distinction, which is the highest mark I've ever scored in a fight performance exam ever. So let me tell you, I'm feeling pretty swish right now. That being done, all that was left to do was pack up, go to the pub, and use that time to show each other old exam footage. Honestly, stage combat courses are one of my favourite things to do. The camaraderie is amazing, you get to learn fun and interesting things which may be useful to you if you are an actor, and sometimes you get to swing a sword around. What could be better? I am hyped for the Sword and Scoundrel summer course, let me tell you. And not just because it's a residential course and my idea of the best possible time is 5 days of fighting with weapons with zero cooking or washing up, but that does help. If you're in the neighbourhood for that, as it were, I will leave a link to the website in the description. I'm not being paid by them for this. I just really enjoy the course and so recommend it to other people, and you're other people, so I'm recommending it to you. I hope you enjoyed this extremely niche look into the thing that I do a couple of times a year for the sheer joy of it, and I'll see you next time.